We've got just 2 weeks left until Israel's national elections. It's the fourth in just 2 years, so it's no surprise that Israelis have some pretty significant election fatigue, and there isn't much enthusiasm about this race, despite how important the outcome is. Even if you haven't been paying super close attention, it's hard to miss the bleeding obvious. Right across the political spectrum, it's almost entirely men leading the major parties. Incumbent Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Alternative Prime Minister Benny Gantz, Yesh Atid leader Yair Lapid, ex-Likudnik and leader of the New Hope Party Gideon Sa'ar, Yamina leader Naftali Bennett, Joint List leader Ayman Odeh, and the list goes on. In fact, the only exception is Merav Michaeli, who was recently elected to lead the Labour Party. So in honour of International Women's Day, we thought we'd take the opportunity to highlight some of the female leaders in this Knesset. This year, of the parties expected to get elected, there are only 56 female candidates, but many of them are positioned towards the end of their lists, so it would be pretty surprising to see them all get elected. At its peak in 2015, there were just 37 women in the Knesset, about a third. This year, it's about a quarter. In this election, we expect that number will go down even further. The Blue and White Party, which ran in the last 3 elections as the anti-Netanyahu bloc, before jumping ship from the opposition to form a government with the Prime Minister, has 9 female MKs. But they're not guaranteed to make it this time. In fact, the best case scenario at this point is probably just 4 seats. And of their top 7 at this election, just 2 are women. In the number 2 spot is Minister of Immigration and Absorption Pnina Tamano-Shata, who made history last year by becoming the first Ethiopian-born minister. A lawyer and former journalist, she arrived barefoot in Israel, aged 3, as part of Operation Moses, which rescued 7,000 Ethiopian Jews from Sudan and included among its officers party leader Benny Gantz. In fact, there were several female ministers appointed under the Blue and White Likud coalition, including the groundbreaking appointment of Diaspora Affairs Minister Omer Yankelovich, who became the first female ultra-Orthodox minister in an Israeli government. But joining many others on the Blue and White list, she's decided to leave politics and isn't running in this month's election. Of course, one of the major barriers to increasing the representation of women in the Knesset is that 2 ultra-Orthodox parties, Shas and United Torah Judaism, refuse to have women represented on their lists at all and have only ever offered male candidates. They currently have 16 seats in the Knesset between them, which has been their result pretty consistently for a while now. So that means that more than 10% of the Knesset is effectively men only. That makes the challenge of boosted representation and even full equality even harder. It's not like increasing female representation has been a priority of Netanyahu's government either. Only about a quarter of his Likud list are women. Just days ago, the Prime Minister himself was accused of using sexist and racist language in a radio interview to refer to the head of the Knesset's coronavirus committee, Yifat Shasha Biton. She was previously a member of Likud and is now number 2 on Gideon Sa'ar's New Hope list. Netanyahu, despite being Prime Minister and despite having taken many COVID-related decisions without consulting other ministers or public servants, tried to pass off blame to Shasha Biton for the more than 5,000 Israelis who have died from the virus and used some pretty nasty language in the process. It's Labour and Meretz, which are the parties that have made the greatest efforts to ensure female representation and realistic list placement. Here's a great ad that Labour leader Merav Michaeli ran during the recent holiday of Purim, riffing on an issue that has been central to Israeli politics and security for decades now. Who said a woman can't save the Jews from the Iranian threat? Happy Purim from Esther and Merav Michaeli. It was a great jab at the security establishment, where there are far too few women. And a nice reminder to counteract the misconception that you need a strong, experienced ex-military man to protect Israel from the Iranian nuclear threat. With Michaeli being the only female party leader out of an anticipated dozen or so parties to be in the Knesset next time, it hopefully won't be too long before other leading female voices are given the opportunity and prominence of party leadership. It would be remiss to talk about women's leadership in Israel without mentioning some of the stalwarts of leadership on the right wing as well, namely Likud's Transportation Minister Miri Regev, who is popular in her party and ranked number 4 on their list, and Ayelet Shaked, the former Justice Minister. While in a previous round of elections, she led her Yamina New Right party, this time she's at number 2 behind former Defence Minister Naftali Bennett. Both Shaked and Regev are expected to be easily re-elected and continue to exert their growing influence across the right wing and the Israeli political discourse more broadly. That's all from us now. Just remember, NIF's a non-partisan organisation and we don't support or oppose anyone in an election, but we do hope that these videos provide you just a small snapshot of what's happening on the ground and help you understand everything that's happening in Israel's 4th election in 2 years. We'll be back soon with another update. Remember to stay focused on our social media feeds for more news, so stay safe and see you all again soon.